Hi, welcome to Bipolar Boxing Picks. This is Nick. We're doing our Day of Reckoning predictions here. This is going to be Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. Another just like I appreciate this fight. Like I said, everyone's shitting on this card. I like these fights. I like this fight. This is a big test for Wilder. In my opinion, outside of Fury, this is his toughest competition just because Joseph Parker's actually battle tested. People could say I heard for 10 years straight how good Luis Ortiz was. His best win is Bryant Jennings, for Christ's sake. Like, stop telling me how good this guy is and how avoided he is. He was ranked, in the top five at times or whatever. People don't avoid guys that are in the top five. When you're 7, 8, 9 or whatever, you want to fight those guys in the top five. You don't avoid them. So that was, in my opinion, that was him avoiding the rest of the heavyweight division. You can't even fight it. You can't find a top 25 guy to fight, really. You got to. Brian Jennings is your biggest win in your career when you're 40 years old. I don't think he's that good. I think Joseph Parker, even now, is better than Ortiz was back then. The thing is, like, Ortiz probably had better tools in a way to beat Wilder, and he could take a better punch, and he still got knocked out. This fight's very simple. I mean, Wilder's going to knock him out within 7 rounds, I'll say. I mean, Joseph Parker couldn't make it with Joe Joyce. We all saw how bad Joe Joyce turned out to be. I mean, maybe Zhang just has his number, but Joe Joyce is just not that good of a fucking fighter. And he was like a 6-1 favorite against Parker. So it's not like that was a fluke thing. There was a 50-50 fight, and Joe Joyce ended up dominating. It wasn't. It wasn't close to a 50-50 fight. And this one's not either. So if you're giving me the same odds with Deontay Wilder that you gave me with Joe Joyce, how the hell do I not take Deontay Wilder? He's minus like 625 or something in this fight. But, I mean, to me, it's free money. I mean, there's a lot of people out there saying, well, if Joseph Parker can get him into deep waters or whatever, like, I don't see that happening. He's already shown, like, I don't want to say his chin's gone because he's only 31 years old. Like, people are talking about Parker like he's completely done. He's only 31 years old. So I got to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not completely done. But, I mean, even in his prime, when he was a world champion or whatever, like, he's not going to beat a guy like Deontay Wilder. And I don't even like Deontay Wilder that much. But he's going to knock this guy out, especially with what's on the table with him and AJ. And I know Wilder believes he can knock out AJ. So all he needs is this. And then, hey, who knows? Maybe Tyson Fury beats Usyk, and then we get Wilder Fury 4. Like, this is the way that Wilder's got to be thinking. Because sometimes these fighters like Wilder, like if he's not fighting a Fury or an AJ, they have a hard time getting up for those fights. And it's hard to knock guys out. So I appreciate Wilder doing that his whole career. It's not easy to get up for guys like Sergey Lyakovich and go knock him out like he did and have him season on the ring apron. It's not easy to do that night in, night out. I went to see him years ago. I watched this fight against, we went to see him against Duhapis and then Eric Molina. Both those fights were in Birmingham, Alabama when I lived there. And he wasn't even that impressive back then, and that was when he was world champion, but he wasn't that impressive back then as far as being a boxer. He never has been. He will probably lose a few rounds in this fight, but it's going to be one of those fights where you're watching and it's like, yeah, he's losing rounds, but come on. What do you think's coming? It's coming eventually. Like, we all know what's going to happen. So I just don't see Parker being able. If Parker wins, to be honest, I think it's going to be a knockout. And I think it's going to be Parker will frustrate the shit out of him in the beginning. But, I don't know. I just don't see Wilder getting dominated for 12 rounds unless it's a guy like Fury or Usyk or something like that. But definitely not a guy like Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker also doesn't have a lot of power. He has almost no power in his punches. So he keeps saying, like, Fury taught me how to beat Wilder. I'm like, did he tell you to gain about 50 pounds and lay on him? Because that's what you're going to need because you're not a big heavyweight. So I don't know what his strategy is going to be. It's going to have to be a stick and move strategy, I'm assuming, kind of like Wallin against Joshua. But he's you just there's always that right hand that can land at any time. And it's gonna land. It's gonna land within 7 rounds. So I'm gonna say a knockout in round 5. Maybe just because maybe like Wilder hasn't fought much. So there's a chance this thing could get in a later round just because he hasn't fought much. It's going to take him a couple of rounds just to get back into the swing of things. I mean, the last fight he had lasted under a round, so I mean, it's not good for Wilder. All that inactivity and just he keeps talking about all these new things that he's working on in training. If he's working on more like boxing, technique and stuff like that, like he's going to want to showcase that in the first couple of rounds because let's be honest, he's not worried about getting chinned by Parker. So you can kind of take the first couple of rounds to work on a few things, but then it's just going to be back to the old style and it's going to look like, Parker's going to think he has an opening somewhere because it's been working for him all fight, and eventually Wilder's just going to land that right hand. It's that simple. I don't want to sit here and overthink this fight and just think about, what if Parker gets him in the later rounds and Wilder gets tired? If it happens, it happens. I don't see it happening. Wilder is going to have, he's going to be pumped up for this fight. He's going to want to make a name for himself. And I think, if Joshua don't get the knockout, Wilder might steal the show here, and then Wilder will become. He's not going to be the A side if they fight against Joshua, but he will be here in America just because those Americans that are watching this fight, like most of the people that are watching this fight, guys, don't watch many boxing fights. These big pay-per-views like this, the people that support them, they watch 2 or 3 boxing fights a night. So when they come away from this, and if Joshua wins an 11-1 decision, they are not going to care as long as Deontay Wilder knocks this dude out. All of America will be on Deontay Wilder's side to knock out Anthony Joshua in that fight. So I think that's what Wilder's going to come in here and try to do. And I think he's going to do it. So let's say round 5, Wilder gets the KO, but I think he'll be down on the scorecards if that means anything. So let me know who you guys think's going to win this fight, and let me know who you guys think's going to win Wilder Joshua if it happens. Have a good one.